I recently took a trip to Edinburgh, Scotland, primarily to take a Japanese test, the JLPT N4. I did the previous level N5 in 2015, but that time in London, England. I wanted to take the next test in a new place that was also guaranteed to speak English. And as a bonus, Edinburgh also happens to be the hometown of Rockstar North, my second favorite game developer after Nintendo. That sealed the deal. Shortly after arriving, I went there. That is the Rockstar North building behind me. They wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't even let me go in the lobby, but that's fine. The guard guy asked what I was doing when I was taking photos of the logo, but yeah, I've been here, I've seen it. Rockstar North, of course, made some of my favorite games like Grand Theft Auto 3, 4, Bully. Maybe Dan and Sam House are in there right now. One can only dream, right? Yeah, so that's done. I guess I gotta go do touristy stuff now before the test tomorrow. One of the defining features of this city is Edinburgh Castle, which is situated on a big hill in the middle of the old town, and it looks like something out of Lord of the Rings. The illusion broken only by the football-style stands they built in front of the entrance. Once inside the castle, it looked slightly less grand than I was expecting after seeing the wonderful exterior, but still very nice and dripping with history. There were a few museums in the area, a place to buy whiskey, and one building even housed the Scottish crown jewels. Unfortunately, picture taking wasn't allowed in there, but at least I got the changing of the guards on tape. Edinburgh in general really was a beautiful city. Well, the general areas like Leith look pretty much like any town in Great Britain, but the old town was something else. Cobblestone streets, statues, churches and medieval architecture everywhere. Very nice. It was apparent that Sir Walter Scott was a really important figure in Scottish history, as his monument was positively huge, although the sign next to it surprisingly included a typo. Speaking of important people, Holyrood Palace is Queen Elizabeth's residence in Scotland. A stone's throw away lies a graveyard, where dozens of Scots found their final resting places, and where some guy had his not-so-final resting place. Very close to that was Jacob's Ladder, like the movie. Scary. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to get a photo, but when I was just out about the walking, I ran into Eamon Walker, the guy who played Kareem Saeed in Oz. Pretty awesome. I talked to him a bit. I said I liked Oz. He seemed a little surprised. So that I also saw him recently in a Lord of War, where he played a African dictator, and that I also saw Last King of Scotland recently. Speaking of Scotland, and that Forrest Whitaker played Idi Amin very well in that role. But after I saw him in Lord of War, I felt he could have done that role too pretty well. He did it well. So yeah, he was going somewhere with his wife. I didn't have time to get a photo or anything, or an autograph or anything like that, but still pretty exciting. So now I'm back at the hostel, and I have a little more time than I have things to do, so I'm not entirely sure what to fill the time with, but yeah, I'll think of something. I always thought that I would go to my first cat cafe in the quirky Japan, but in the years since I first heard about the concept, cat cafes have become more common, to the point that there is one even here in Edinburgh. The emphasis of this cat cafe was mainly on the cat part, with the cafe seeming like more of an afterthought, which was fine by me. There's not a whole lot to say here, just enjoy this montage of cuteness. Of course, me being me, I had to check out any video game stores I could find. Besides the common chain Game, which has little to offer, there was CEX, which was quite a lot better. But I had looked up another store called Games Master Exchange, and I took a long walk down Leith Walk to find it. It unfortunately wasn't that good. The selection was fine, with games from PlayStation 1 and up, and some consoles on sale in the window display. However, the games on the shelf were mostly made up of sports and other kinds of bargain bin style games. Oh well. Visiting video game stores or going tourist isn't too far out of my comfort zone, so to speak, but I don't always climb mountains, or big hills anyway. In central Edinburgh lies Arthur's Seat, although I settled for the hill in front of it, a plateau from which the whole city is visible, even Rockstar North and the Scottish Parliament, that I first thought looked like a newly built apartment complex. The view made up for the exhaustion incurred by walking up there. So, that was Edinburgh, Scotland. Well, this is... During my 4.5 day stay here, I've did the JLPT N4, hopefully passed. I visited a game shop. I went to the castle. I climbed a mountain, a small one anyway. I went to a cat cafe, which was it was perfect. And yeah, about time to go home. It's been fun. Aye.